Tonight, the White House vowing to do whatever it takes to protect U.S. forces in the Middle East after Iranian-backed militants hit this airbase in Iraq with ballistic missiles, leaving an unknown number of service members with potential traumatic brain injuries.
We're going to do what we have to do to protect them. I mean, these attacks have to stop, and we've made that very clear.
While in Gaza, a once unthinkable milestone reached. 25,000 people killed, according to the Hamas-controlled health ministry, the majority women and children. The UN Secretary General speaking out.
Israel's military operations have spread massive destruction and killed civilians on a scale unprecedented.
Are there bullet holes in the car?
And in the occupied West Bank, NBC News uncovering new details about the killing of 17-year-old Palestinian-American Tawfiq Abdul-Jabbar. Born and raised in Louisiana, he was shot dead Friday by an Israeli settler, his family says, killed at the wheel of his truck.
And Tawfiq was driving when he was
killed?
See the blood?
You see the blood all over the seat? See the bullet going through the whole... See the bullet right here?
Israeli police say they're investigating whether an off-duty officer fired the fatal shot. But Israelis are rarely prosecuted for violence against Palestinians, human rights groups say.
I carried my son out of the truck, shot 2 bullets. In the head, in the chest. My son was killed. I buried my son today.
As mourners gather at the family home, Tawfiq's father, also an American citizen, says he holds the U.S. responsible for backing Israel.
He was killed in cold blood from weapons that is being sent from my country, from U.S.
And Raf's with us. Raf, there's an update tonight separately on those 2 Navy SEALs who went missing earlier this month.
Kate, U.S. Central Command is saying that after an 11-day search by sea and air, those 2 Navy SEALs have now been declared dead. They lost their lives off the coast of Somalia on a mission to intercept Iranian weapons. Kate.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.